Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And it's now time to take a look at the new Protector Shuna, the Oracle Commander. So she is yet another orange burst team protector. We've gotten quite a few of those in the past 6 months or so. Kind of surprising. They really don't look on orange teams very favorably for the first 3 years of the game, and then in the last 6 months it's been like, oh hey, we like orange teams now, so they've put out quite a few. She is leading the Warrior's Mind Force, which, as you may know or may not know, we've already had Warrior's Mind before, back for the 1.5 anniversary with Protector Velzard, and that's when Guy and Lumi and Violet came out. So this is our first batch of a force to come out in them. There's a better way to word this. It's our first 2.0 meta of a force that is released previously, because before forces we got only element units, only element teams. So you got a full team of dark and earth and fire, and then they recycled. So we had dark 2 and fire 2 and the third light team and the third space team before we switched to forces. So we have now hit Warrior's Mind 2.0. I guess Adventurer 2.0, but that didn't really count. Warrior's Mind 2.0, because they're both collabs. So, Shuna is leading a team that already has quite a few characters added to it. John's, Guys, lots of characters across the board get added to Warrior's Mind lots, so it's quite a good force in general. She's giving physical allies attack and defense, and then, like every other burst protector, you get 30 points from turn 2, 3, 4, and 5. Her skill is just like Antagonist Emil's Protector before the third Annie, where your entire hand is now oranges, and then 2 of those oranges turns into rainbow orbs. And then she inflicts the new Dread status on everybody, which, for 2 turns, increases the debuff power, or the power of debuffs by 40%, 1.4 times. So if you have a 100% alt resistance down, or pierce, or crit resistance down, it's going to be 140% when you use this skill. Now, we already have something like that in the Frostbite mechanic, which has not really been touched on for quite a long time, because it's not that great. But Water and Space Velzard have Frostbite, which is a 1.3 times multiplier for debuffs. So today, among everything else, we're going to test if you can combine both of them and get a 70% debuff out of those 2 skills, just for science's sake. And then on top of that, she gives a physical attack damage resistance debuff by 100%, which is the debuff version of what Tournament Stalwart Lumi is doing, and that's what made her do tons of damage, because she had physical attack damage up by 100, which doubled her damage. So if we can double it here, and then double it on the debuff, Lumi's going to do a ton of damage. And she already did a ton of damage, so this is just overkill. But let's go ahead and just jump into the showcase now. Okay, so starting off, because I think this team is too strong for EX2, we're going to go into Inferno 1, which I haven't even beat yet. We're going to run this team. Shuna, Light Divine General Mass Hero for the Rewind and Pierce power. Space Velzard for the Frostbite, because we're going to try and science this and see if Frostbite will enhance alongside the Dread debuff effect from Shuna. And then Gobbo is here for her buff. Lumi is going to be our primary damage dealer, and then Fern also has her big time buff and debuff. And we'll see what this team can do. Okay, so starting off, I want to do a comparison between what happens when we don't have Shuna active and what happens when we do have her active. Because Shuna's going to give us a lot of stuff just by activating her. So right now, we have everything that we need. Lumi already has her EX ult in the back, she already has the Pierce power, she already has her own buff. This right here will max out Gobwa's skill, and then we will also, let's do that one first, because that should be, yeah, okay, so we're good now. So that's the EX ult damage up and ult resistance down. This is the element down and weakness resistance down, plus the 8 buffs, so now we're up to 21. And that leaves us just enough points now to use Gobwa's Pierce skill. So 120%, we are fully capped out there, plus everything. The only thing we don't have is Shuna, and we're not going to activate her on purpose, because I want to see what the damage is now versus what it's going to be when she actually does get there. So Frostbite, all the way down here, is a 1.3 multiplier, so 30% increase to debuffs. So alt resistance down from Fern, normally 100, now it's 130. Weakness down 65, element down up to 71.5. Pierce resistance, instead of 120, it's 156. Okay, let's see what we do with just this alt and a few orbs versus next time when we do the full run, and then we use Shuna. So this should be kind of interesting. Let's turn the animations on. So 280k, and then Lumi on her AoE alt. And remember that this is Inferno 1. The Hinata has a 50% AoE resistance, so that's already kind of nerfing our damage. Lumi, I don't think, gives a fuck, though. I don't know if we'll kill her, but we'll probably do still quite a bit of damage. 8.5. Okay, yeah, we definitely didn't kill. 8.5 million is what we're looking at right now. So, let's come back. Let's do the entire thing again, and I'll show you the process of what I'm doing for this team. And then we'll just simply click Shuna, and we'll see what that 8.5 really turns into. Okay, now that we've seen what Lumi can do, the 8.5 million, let's do the full run of the team, showcase what I'm doing to get to that point, and then let's simply add Shuna. So we've got a weird spread of starting hand. We've got 2 blues and 4 oranges, so you could bring an orb changer to handle these 2 blues, or if you're lucky and you have a triple orb stealer, then you could just simply bring Lumi in for Velzard, and you can get your 6 orbs turn 1 that way. Either way works for you. Works. I mean, if you don't have a triple orb stealer and you can orb change turn 1, then great, just do that then. But here, this works out better because we have Lumi and we're quite lucky. It does not get us the EX ult though, which is a bit unfortunate. It gets us a nut tap away. But thankfully, because we brought the Divine General Hero, that's not as big of an issue, because we can simply use her rewind. So let's take Fern out, and then let's rewind here, let's apply the physical buff, and then let's apply the first usage of Gobwa's debuff skill. And there we go. Now we have the EX ult, now we have the physical buff, and now she can just simply go away until turn 5. And Lumi never has to see the front line until then. So now let's activate Shuna, and then we've already seen this, so let's go ahead and, did we see it already? No, we'll watch it again next time. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, so that's the physical resistance down, that's the dread mechanic. Once we get to turn 3, we'll use the Frostbite from Velzard and see if that will actually affect our debuffs at all. I feel like it'd be cool if it did. I would understand if it did not. Okay, we'll watch this one. Because it might be a bit too much power, but who's ever complained about that? Am I right? Okay, so she's pointing a clock at the sky, breaking up the clouds. Cool. And now we've applied another debuff, so now we're up to how much? 90%, so we're at 10 stacks for Gobwa, which is good. She's halfway done. And there's 147 points right there. Okay, yep, thank you for that. Gobwa should have an EX ult here. And we have a lot of points. So now on turn 3 after the rewind, we can use the Pierce Power buff for the hero, because it hits the back line, which means Lumi still doesn't have to come up front. And let's do that. Let's apply the Frostbite. So this will be important right here, because right now, Hinata's debuffs are sitting at 70 and 77%, and 140 physical resistance down because of Dread, because that's a 40% increase. Does Frostbite actually do something here? Pierce power, Frostbite. Let's check. It sure does. Now we're up to 85% weakness, 93.5 resistance down, 170% physical damage resistance down. So it starts at 100 because of Shuna. It gets 40 from the Dread. It gets another 30 from Frostbite. So now all debuffs are going to have a 70% increase to their power, which is fairly hefty. Fairly hefty. Okay, but let's go ahead and take out Gobwa? No, let's not take out. Let's take out the hero. We don't really need her. And then we'll just use Shuna. We'll send these ults because I don't really care about them. We don't need to watch this anymore. And because we've applied a debuff, now we're up to 11 stacks. And so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. And now we just need to build up to 150 points. And then we're ready to go. 800k? Is that what that was? Meh. We don't have every single buff going on though, so don't worry about Gobwa's power. Alright, yep, thank you, and thank you. There's the ult. Frostbite does a little tiny bit of damage. It's kind of sad, but, you know, whatever. And now we can use Shuna one last time. And we'll also use Gobwa now, because her debuffs last for 2 turns. So let's do that now. Boom. And then Shuna, give us those rainbows. It should cap us out up to the 150 right here. If it doesn't, I'll be kind of sad. It is that 1 point away? Are we going to be okay with 1 point off? I think we are, because we don't need to use this again. We just need this and that. Okay, yeah, I think we're fine. Okay. So, ult, okay, there's another debuff, so we're up to 22. So, I mean, we're capped out anyways. So now, 8.5 million in the first clip. How much are we going to do here with that extra 70% debuff just added on? So, let's do the ult and the ult resistance down. Boom, that's yet another debuff in case you weren't already capped out by then. Let's take Fern out of here. And then we can use... that's it, because the debuff's already active. Let's do the fully buffed up 120% pierce resistance and guaranteed pierce. And then we'll use Shuna one last time for funsy onesies' sake. I'm running the orange protection gauge charm, so the 40% protection gauge to orange orbs, because we would like to cycle this. You could probably get away with like an AoE buff or something. But now let's check it out. So we have 85% here, 93.5% there, 170 physical down, 170 ult resistance down, 204% pierce resistance down. And then we have all the buffs on Lumis. We've got the 100% EX ult damage. We've got her own physical buff and physical damage. We've got guaranteed pierce and pierce power. So yeah, we got a lot going on. 8.5 million. Let's see what we get here. Now was that 900k? Oh, that's 33.5 million damage. By simply clicking Shuna, we went from 8.5 to 33. Jesus. That's kind of a lot. That's kind of a lot of power right there. Well, that's just kind of hilarious now, isn't it? It's the same run. We still had the Pierce buff. We still had the Frostbite active on both runs. We had Gobwa capped out. We had the physical buff. We had the EX and everything like that. We just simply didn't have the extra 100% ult down, which is actually 170. Well, we were missing 140% actually. No, and we didn't have anything. We were missing 170% of that because it just wasn't active. And then the extra power from having extra ult resistance down and extra element and weakness resistance down. That's crazy. Okay, well, Shuna's pretty good on her team. Let's put her somewhere else now. Okay. I've built some kind of makeshift fire team and added a few debuffs to it to try and make use of the dread mechanic. Elmesia has alt resistance down, which will be enhanced. Hinata has crit resistance down, which Violet is a crit and pierce unit, so that's great. And then Benimaru and Shizu are here to support as well. So we have two pretty hefty debuffs already that are going to be enhanced by the dread mechanic from Shuna. I don't remember if Frostbite ever mattered to the burn status. I don't think it enhanced the burn at all. If it did, I don't remember. And if it did, then Dread would certainly enhance it as well by a little bit extra. But I'm not entirely sure, so I guess we're going to find out and relearn something today. Alright, so turn 1, we're going to orb change with Benimaru, apply the burn status so we don't get locked in, and then we'll bring Violet in for Benny since he's got the next incoming orb, and we'll bring Hinata in for Elmesia because we don't really need her until the nuke turn anyways. So we'll send 6 greens, that gets us access to Shuna. This is an orange-focused stage, so we know that orange is not going to be nerfed here, which is good. Violet is not an EX character, but we would get an EX alt anyways off of that. Alright, ooh, double counter, look at that. Okay, so let's go ahead and apply a few things. Let's do the pierce power, let's do the crit and pierce, let's get the attack and the burn. And so burn for Violet is 20%. So we're at 40% right now. Is the dread status going to affect that and make it 24%? No, it does not. Okay, well that's kind of unfortunate. But it's a status and it's not a debuff, quote unquote, so that makes sense. AoE down 56% because it's higher now. Physical resistance down, which Violet is also physical. Also a reason why we brought her instead of somebody else. But this means that Violet is going to do some massive damage on this turn by herself. Yeah, I mean, massive relative to the stage. This is a very old stage, and Claymore does not have a lot of HP. But it sets us up fairly well, and 91k on the burn. So at this point, we just need to do that. And we need to have 160 points, so we can use both those buffs. So let's do that buff, and let's just get Violet out of here. That way we don't accidentally kill. And we'll send this. And yeah, I think we'll take Benimaru in too for Shizu, so because she also has quite a few buffs. We'll do this. We'll definitely have 160 points for the nuke, and then we'll be looking pretty good. Yeah, 100, yeah. We'll have 179 points. And we didn't kill him. So now, this should be pretty funny. It won't be millions upon millions of damage like we're used to seeing in this day and age, because it's still a fairly old team, but it can still work, and thank God we got an orb for Elmesia or Benimaru. Jesus Christ. Okay, so you come in, we'll use Elmesia's buff, so 70% alt damage for Earth and Fire, and then 100% alt resistance down, which is going to be 140% because of the Dread status, and then we've got physical attack, and then crit resistance 50%, which is going to be a little bit higher because of the Dread status. So let's reapply this, and then let's take a look. Clayman is sitting at physical attack damage down 40%, alt resistance 140%, crit resistance 70%. Yeah. And then Violet herself has 70% alt damage plus guaranteed crit, guaranteed pierce, pierce power, attack, pierce power from the trait, fire attack, physical attack. Yeah, we're gonna murderize Clayman here. Sure, why not? So, even on teams that don't have that many debuffs, an extra 40% to some of these high-powered debuff skills is going to make a difference. 2 million damage? I'll take it. Violet's very old. When Violet came out, we were doing like for 400, 500k on this stage. So that's acceptable. Acceptable for what the team is made of. I'm fine with that. But, like, think about Isis, Awakened Isis, and her 120% alt resistance down. It's going to be at least 40% stronger. or 70% if you bring Frostbite as well. So I think this Shuna will have use, especially in one particular area. Okay, Valor Cup, I could see the power of both Lumi and Shuna being quite substantial. We already know that Lumi, by herself, with like New Year's Blessing Shuna, Shion, can do a lot of damage. The damage cap for Ranked Valor easily clears that. So here, I don't really care about Raphael or the Shinsha or the Shizu. I only want to see how much damage Shuna is going to give us with Lumi and her buff and her EX ult. That's all I care about. So you could replace these three characters right here. You could replace Rimuru for Octagram Demon Lord Milim if you have her. But I just want to see what Lumi and Shuna can do by themselves as far as hitting damage cap is concerned, which for ranked is 1,000,000 damage total, which I think we're going to be able to do. Alright, so turn 1, let's swap you out, and then, so they can't orb change here, we'll send these 2 orbs against Guy. That'll give us at least 3 rainbows from Rimuru next turn, which can then steal. Okay, that works even better. Okay, so let's do 4 rainbow orbs. Boom. And then Lumi comes in to steal those, and she gets 6 now. And this will very easily get the EX ult. I just have to make sure I don't have to worry about any unfortunate Valor traits. No, does not. Well, there's a rewind there, but yeah, I don't think we have to worry too much about that. Let's do you. And then, because you're going to die anyways. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 6 on the hero. She might rewind depending on the skill points the enemy team has. I don't remember how much they have because I didn't look. Okay, there's the rewind. Okay, good thing we guarded. Good thing they're hitting Shizu. But now that we have the EX ult, after they're done unleashing this, we will then nuke with just the Lumi buff and just the Shuna debuff, which on one hand it's going to be a lot of damage, like a lot of damage, but the debuff only applies to the front line. So one thing with like New Year's Blessing Shion is that even the characters who are in the back, like Lumi, is still getting that crit synergy, so it'll help us make sure that we kill those backline units. Not always a problem depending on how much actual support you have, because we're not going to use Shinsha's buff or whatever support character buff you're trying to bring, which will help you do a lot more damage, because this is just a science test run. But I still think we should be okay. So now they have the physical damage down, which is increased, so now it's 140, plus we have Lumi's 100, plus the 80% physical buff. And I think we should be fairly solid. Even against a type disadvantage hero, we should probably still do good damage. And we do 220 type disadvantage. And then probably like 300 something on the type neutrals, because I wasn't looking at them. I'll have to go back and look, so give me a second. Okay, yeah. 300k type neutral, 220 type disadvantage. We only need to do 1,000,000, and that is without any other buff. Like, we didn't use Shinsha's buff. We didn't use somebody else to help Lumi do even more damage. Like, that's just the Protector and Lumi by herself, which is enough damage to do what you want to do. You can bring literally any support character at that point, and you'll be just fine, assuming you have Lumi. But that's the point that I'm trying to make, is that these 2 characters in Valor Cup will win you every single match, essentially, as long as you have the other key features, like the rainbow orb changing and the support damage and the gear. But I think this Shuna is going to be really good for Valor Cup, and I think she will shine there. And I'm not a biggest fan of Valor Cup, but I do recognize that she'll be very strong. So I think we'll end the video there. Overall, I think Shuna's actually a pretty solid protector. even though she's working mostly off of debuffs, there are enough debuffs in the game that are already strong that can be made stronger, especially with that Frostbite skill added in, then they get stupid strong. I can see her being used in the future, more so than some other protectors that we've had recently. But should you pull for her right now? A month away, less than a month from the 3.5 anniversary? Probably not. So let me know what you guys think of this new Protector Shuna. Do you think that she's also super duper good, or am I overselling her a bit? Let me know your thoughts, but that's it from me. Take it easy, guys, and I will see you all later.